Okay, I'm going to try to make this short, but I know it won't end up short. I've been asked to do a video on it, and basically what it comes down to is that I've had a failure in my CD player on the stereo, which is a cartridge type 6 CD player that I really enjoy these types instead of the platter type or the single disc because you can load them up in a cartridge, and basically the cartridges are they're these type of cartridges where you've got 6 CDs in them, and you just plug it into the player. You got all your favorites and whatever else on it, and it makes it very convenient. You can have a bunch of them, as you see here. I have a bunch of them all over the place, and my TEAC or TEAK Tech player that was bought brand new about 7 years ago, I guess, around that, and it finally took a crap. Now, it was made in China, and it wouldn't quit skipping even though I cleaned it up, and then once I cleaned it, it made things even worse. So these Pioneer, and this is a PD M60. We're getting a hell of a shadow on it, and as you can see, this is an older player, and these were made in Japan. Now, I've got a lot of Onkyo equipment, and these were also made in Japan, and they are quality components compared to the Chinese stuff. So what happened here is that I got a few of them through eBay, and they got damaged in shipping, and all of them that got damaged in shipping had a fragile label, fragile sticker, whatever, put on them. And I do believe that the people at the shipping company have a sadistic quality about them. When they see that fragile label, they intentionally try to destroy the box without doing any damage to the box, like dropping it from like 5 feet height flat, or whatever. So in either case, I ordered a few of them that were supposedly good people that were selling them, good feedback and whatever. And when they got here, they were damaged, and pretty badly actually, internally, even though they were packed very well. So I ordered 2 more of the same model to use as parts, because I'd taken it apart, the first one, and I know it wasn't the shipper's fault. It just came that way. So what I've done here is I've made 2 good units. One of them that came without a remote, without any cassette or anything else, no frills. It was kind of cheap, and that one actually worked. Now, it didn't have a fragile label on it. It came in good shape. The remote for the first one worked on it because it's the same model. So I thought, okay, now I got that one. Now let me get another unit, a cheap one that doesn't work, a donor unit, if you will. And we will go through this, because everything on YouTube and every guy that talks about CD players is talking about the laser pickup needing to be cleaned, or that the lens came unglued. Everybody comes up with the same shit, which unfortunately isn't always the problem. A lot of times it's an adjustment problem. A lot of times it's a parts failure. So let me go backwards here, and I'm just doing this from the standpoint of putting the donor unit back together again to have as spare parts, whether it's a plastic piece or whatever. So we'll get into it. What happened to the first unit I got was that this disc here, which holds down the CD in the player, was damaged after it lost the whole track. In other words, these move up and down depending on which CD you want to put in. So, you know, if you choose disc number 4, it moves down to disc number 4 and then it loads it and everything else. Well, this piece here, the whole unit on the first one was dislodged right out of the rise and lower mechanism. So I put it, you know, I took it apart, I put it back together again to put these back into the track to where it held up. Now that had to take a hell of a hit. If you can see it, there is a tab. There are 3 tabs here that hold the disc in, and one of the tabs got broken right there. So this disc is no longer floating on, it's kind of hard to do this with one hand, on the proper place, and even when installed it can move around because that plastic piece got broken. There's no way to repair that I'm aware of. And this is the let me turn a light on here, maybe we can see it a little bit better. This is the laser pickup. Okay, so there's the whoops, sorry, that's the laser pickup. This is what the disc spins on. The laser pickup, the lens is glued in, it didn't fall out or anything like that. So this piece, because the discs play upside down on these type of players, they don't play with a label facing up like on a single disc. So these are upside down, and a lot of times that lens will come unglued, especially on an old machine. Alright, everybody's covered that 9 million times, and you know, okay, if that's not your problem, you're kind of screwed. This problem here is something that happens in shipping or mishandling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through how this all goes together again, and how to work this on one of these players. Now remember, this is an old player. This is, you know, probably late 80s, early 90s, before they went to a Chinese manufacturer. This is a Japanese stuff. There are some funky things. There's a little spring in there that I've put hemostats on to hold it, to put it back onto this piece here. And like I said, I'm not putting this together to work. I'm just putting it together the way it was so that everything can get back into where it was, because I won't remember if I need something later on how it all went together. I'm sure I'll forget that because I don't do this professionally, and especially not on this particular unit. So what I will do is I will carry this on tomorrow. It's getting kind of late here and I've got to get some other things done, but we will go through how this gets put together, and then we will go and how it works on the unit, and hopefully this will be of more help to people taking these apart, because this is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of steps to go through. There are a lot of moving parts, you know, just in this disc reader carrier part that moves up and down. So, okay, well, I'm going to cut it off for today anyway. but I thought I'd start the video and we'll go from there, not to make it too long. Alright. Alrighty, we're back. Since I have to do this on a tripod right onto where I'm working, I hope this will work out. It may be a little bit hard to see, but continuing on from yesterday with this plastic piece that was in there, this will go into this piece. You'll see the hooks that go in, and it'll slide forward, and then it'll lock in place there. So normally this would be a spinner. Of course, we know that the little tab is broken, so this is really not any good anymore. But what this does is it keeps the CD from flopping around. In other words, it keeps tension on it. See what happens? It keeps tension on it to you know, have it read properly. And of course, you know, with this not working right, what I might do is I might take a hot glue gun and just glue this in here for now to keep it in place. In either case, what has to happen here is there is a shaft that goes in there, and that shaft will sit in here. Now there's a locking screw for the shaft, which is right here. I just put it back in to keep it in its position because I've got a lot of screws around. And then this will go in here and under there. Of course, as you can see, it keeps falling out, but it's right on top of the disc spinner. So putting this spring back on is a lot of finicky work. So I'm going to cut this off and do that. Like I said, I've attached the hemostat to the little spring so I can pull it up and with a pick put it back over this little hook here. So that's what keeps tension on the CD during playtime. And again, I'm going to do this off camera because this is going to get long anyway, putting this whole unit together. And like I said, this is not to make this unit work. This is just putting it back together again to keep around. I already got this good piece out of this unit and put it into the other player that had it broken. So this unit is kind of a mess, but you'll get the idea of putting it all together. So I'm going to stop the camera now and we'll continue on after I get all that kind of set in there. Alright, so what a fidgety job. This is with a I guess what you would call a disc stabilizer. That'd be a good enough term for it in my book. But this is how it works. Basically, it releases the disc, it gets off of it, and then as the disc goes back in, it comes down and then hits up against the disc to keep it firmly onto the drive. So this spring was a real pain in the butt. Now it flew out on me, and the holding piece, which is this right here, if you can see that, let me put a light on it, maybe it'll work better. This metal piece fell out and it looks to be broken, but I can't find out anywhere that it broke off of. I put it up here, which is giving it a little bit too much tension. Now on the one that I replaced this disc on, I had enough tension on the spring, and I never let go of it, so that never came undone on the other end of that little spring right there. That thing is really something else, but that's how this entire thing is supposed to work. Let me turn that off, get rid of the reflection. So as you can see, it lifts it up, and then as it goes back, it, oops, okay, closes it, and then allows the disc, remember the springs on everything else here. So in either case, that's a broken piece. Now I just hot glued it in there to hold it in place. It'll never work, but if it does, it'll grind a hole into the disc because it's not going to be spinning. So all right, we'll continue on from here and see how this. Okay, now we're working with the main receiver unit, the part you put your disc into, and the part we just, let's say, repaired, which we didn't. But here's the thing you're going to watch out for is these wires. You will probably take this off just to get it out of the way, but make sure that these wires are in that little hook right there to keep them under where this will go, and make sure that it's not under anything that'll get bolted down. Put it into its place, and then put your 4 screws in that hold it all together, and that's basically nothing too complicated there. There's only 4 screws that hold that in. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and where's the other one? There it is. Okay, I'm going to have to snug them up a little bit. Don't get too crazy with that. This is all plastic. And we're going to, yeah, sometimes threads don't line up perfectly from the last time, as long as you're tender with it. Now, we're going to get into the part that the original one I got actually came out of these grooves. If you see that, these are the raising and lowering grooves where this thing goes up and down to meet up with whatever disc that you choose. So basically what I've done here is I didn't release this entire side. I just loosened it enough to where it can go and there, hit into that groove. Okay, on this side. Now on the top you'll notice that there's an arm here. Okay, this is the arm that raises and lowers it, and both sides have to be indexed to get your proper movement. So in other words, you're going to put this up here and you're going to manipulate this unit until it clicks in to the grooves that you're trying to motivate, which is right there. So that's tight up against the body. And let's do this. We can move this back and forth. You'll notice on this side that there's a groove as well. That's the arm that goes across. So now we've got that going in, and these bolts that hold that in, both sides, are shouldered. They have a shouldered bolt, which is like that, so you don't over tighten them because it has to roll on it. Now there is a lot of grease on there, so I suggest you have a little towel around, or a rag to wipe your hands with. Kind of a messy situation. I don't recommend putting any more grease on it, but try not to wipe all the grease off. So let me go ahead and tighten that down and then we'll get back to it, okay? Alright, now that we've gotten those two pieces in there for the raising and lowering, you'll see here there are 2 screws on this side and there will be 3 on this side here. Now I recommend, because they are very short staffed or threaded, that you use a magnetic screwdriver, and you'll have to manipulate this a little up and down so that the hole lines up and that they ride on the shoulder. So you move the plastic around a little bit. Once you've done that and everything is set up on that, you can turn this gear here. Let me see if we got it in camera range. We do. Okay. Better with the light off or on? I don't know. Okay. So as you can tell, I can move the unit up and down. As you can see, it's moving up and down. So that's throughout the entire travel. And again, you can move it down and move it up. And by the way, if you're ever in a position where you hear slipping or sliding or whatever, there are rubber bands on this thing. There are quite a few of them. There's one here, and I believe, oh, there's another one. Okay, so 3 of them. And they do make an aftermarket kit for these. So if you need rubber bands for these, you can get them. I think I saw them on eBay, actually. Relatively cheap, just a few bucks. So this is the eject for the cartridge, and then this is the raising and lowering to get you into the right CD that you're trying to play out of the 6 CDs. So, okay, now that we got all that together, and here's our piece that we put in it. That of course won't move very freely now because we've got a whole unit going in. Yeah, this all needs to move in conjunction. So we don't have a disc in there. In either case, that's the part that we needed to replace, was that disc and that piece of plastic on the bottom there. That gives tension to the disc so it doesn't flop around when it's rolling. Okay, I've turned the light off. Hopefully that'll work a little bit better. I know it's going to be hard to see, but when you're installing this, you'll notice that there are all these honeycomb looking things down here in a groove, and you know, a channel and what have you. So when you get, normally I would take the faceplate off, the front cover, and get it out of the way, but since this unit is just a parts unit, I really didn't give too much of a crap. So in either case, we're going to put this in with the receiver forward, as you would with any unit. So what we're going to do is make sure that these wires down here that go under this are in that groove down there. So this is where the faceplate being off would be really handy, and you can move this around to get that out of the way over there. Clear that a little bit. Okay, and make sure we got that out of there, and basically I think that needs to come up through here. Whoops, getting hung up on everything. I turned the light off to make it look better, but okay, there's a wire going through there. Okay, this all lines up with 4 screw holes in the bottom. Again, you want to make sure that your wires down there are in that channel and not under where you're going to bolt this entire thing down to. You don't want to crush these wires. So, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to bolt that in, and then we'll do the wiring. That's just 4 screws that hold it in. So we'll stop it again, and we'll start once I have them in, and we'll go through the quickie wiring. Alright, I've zoomed in a little bit here, so you can see what I'm doing, I hope. Now, this unit here, the seller told me that it just didn't stay on. You know, you could turn it on, but it wouldn't stay on but more for a second or two. But somebody's already been in this unit messing around. All the screws were loose. And as you can see right here, hang on, this connector should have a push-down holder, like this one right here, where you have to pull up on it to release it and push down to lock it in. It's gone here. So, you know, obviously it means to me that well, not only that, but the cover screws, everything was loose on it. So we're going to plug this in over here, make believe we're going to make it work. And actually this was unplugged completely when I got the unit. So they already played around with it. Luckily the only piece I needed was the one that was in good shape, and all the wire connections are pretty much self-explanatory. You can't switch them around, and they will all go right here. Let's see, you gotta index that one with a little groove. God, old guy with bad eyes, cataracts and floaters and shit. I'm surprised I can see what the hell I'm doing here. And then over here what we want to do is hold on here. We'll do that in a minute. We'll put this wire down here. This piece goes right, yeah, I cut myself. Got some sharp edges on this thing. This gets plugged in here, and that has a pull-up, hold-down thing too. So you're going to have to hold that up while shoving that in there. Okay, and then you push down on it, and that locks it in place. And you will then take this screw that I put there just to keep it in place. Go with the 2 grounds. Don't forget your grounds. Bad grounds cause more problems than anything else. And we will put that back there, the 2 grounds. Okay. Make sure it's good and tight. Make sure you got them both in there. Okay. Now what you can do is you can take the little wire tie things, those plastic ties, and tie all this stuff back up again. Remember to kind of move wires away from your cover, your top, and I moved these here just so it would show up on camera better what I did here and what's missing. So again, this unit is not going to work, but if it were a workable unit, this would have fixed it, which it did on my other unit. That piece that we originally talked about is what my other one needed. And these black things that raise and lower it, that's what happened during shipping. It knocked this carrier right out of the grooves there, which, boy, I tell you what, that's a hell of a hit. I'm surprised it didn't break the plastic. But, yeah, luckily that worked out. So it just broke that plastic retainer at the bottom there that holds the disc up. And that's it, folks. That's a Pioneer PD M60. Kind of a different repair than just going into it, but even though if you do need to clean the optical or re-glue the lens, you will still have to take all of this out and turn that over and disassemble this unit with that piece that I replaced to get at the laser lens. So basically the same job, except you're not replacing the piece that I replaced. So there it is, folks. I hope it helps somebody, man.